till a man discovered a trick for predicting winning tickets of a Canadian tic-tac-toe scratch-off game with 90% accuracy. However, after he determined that using it would be less profitable and less enjoyable than his consulting job as a statistician, he instead told the Gaming Commission about it. The trick itself is ridiculously simple. Srivastava would later teach it to his 8-year-old daughter. Each ticket contained 8 tic-tac-toe boards, and each space on those boards, 72 in all, contained an exposed number from 1 to 39. As a result, some of these numbers were repeated multiple times. Perhaps the number 17 was repeated 3 times, and the number 38 was repeated twice. And a few numbers appeared only once on the entire card. Srivastava's startling insight was that he could separate the winning tickets from the losing tickets by looking at the number of times each of the digits occurred on the tic-tac-toe boards. In other words, he didn't look at the ticket as a sequence of 72 random digits. Instead, he categorized each number according to its frequency, counting how many times a given number showed up on a given ticket. The numbers themselves couldn't have been more meaningless, he says, but whether or not they were repeated told me nearly everything I needed to know. Srivastava was looking for singletons, numbers that appear only a single time on the visible tic-tac-toe boards. He realized that the singletons were almost always repeated under the latex coating. If 3 singletons appeared in a row on one of the 8 boards, that ticket was probably a winner. After determining that scamming the lottery would ultimately be less profitable and less enjoyable than his consulting job, Srivastava alerted the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation to the game's flaw, and they pulled it a day later. But the tic-tac-toe game wasn't the only one that was vulnerable. Srivastava found that a variation of his singleton trick at least doubled his chances of picking winners on several other similar games. His keen eye for patterns and probabilities seemingly the key to unlocking the scratch-off games. He's much more honest than I would have been. When I worked at a fast food joint as a teenager during a giveaway contest, I discovered that the winning peel-off cards were cut from the edge of the roll as they were printed, so I could identify the cards with a fairly high chance of them being a winner. It was never a sure thing, but my picks had around an 80% of being a winner, mostly free burger, fries, etc. I never gave away a big winner, so those might have been printed elsewhere on the print run, or they were just rare enough that I never came across one. I was really popular with my regular customers because I made sure to handpick their contest cards.